In this video, we will look at multiplying a whole number by a decimal less than 1 using a number line. The focus of this standard is using models, drawings, and strategies based on place value to compute problems. Let's take a look at how we can use a number line to multiply 4/10 times 5. Before I solve, I want to think about a reasonable product. I know that the answer will be less than 5 because we are multiplying 5 by a factor that is less than 1. So I know that if this was 5 times 1, the answer would be 5. But since I'm actually multiplying by less than 1, the product would be less than 5. Similarly, I know that the product is going to be more than 4/10 because I am multiplying 4/10 by a factor that is greater than 1 whole. I am multiplying 4/10 by 5. So that lets me know that my answer will be more than 4/10 but less than 5. And now I can go ahead and get started solving. One way to think about this would be to think about this as finding 4/10 of 5. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a number line here. And I'm going to set this up from 0 all the way to 5 to show the 5 wholes. And now I know that I need to find 4/10 of 5 wholes. So I'm going to split each of these wholes that I have on my number line here into tenths, since I need to find 4/10 of each of these 5 wholes. So I'll split each one into tenths. So now that I have split each of the wholes into tenths or 10 equal parts, I can go back and find just 4/10 of each of these 5 wholes. So I'm going to switch my color here. So I'm going to look at this first whole from 0 to 1, and I'm going to circle 4/10 of this whole. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would have 4/10 right there. So I have 4/10 of that whole. Now I can come across here, and I'm going to find 4/10 of my next whole. So again, I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4/10 of this whole. And now I need to find 4/10 of the next whole. Remember, I'm finding 4/10 of each of the 5 wholes. So now 1, 2, 3, 4/10 there. So I have 4/10 again. And I'm going to keep repeating this until I've found 4/10 of each of these 5 wholes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4/10 of that one. And then now I need to find 4/10 of this last whole. Remember, I know each whole is split into 10 equal parts, so I can just count 4/10. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's 4/10 of that whole. So I have found 4/10 of each of the 5 wholes, and now I just need to see how many tenths that is altogether. So I have 4/10 plus 4/10, that would be 8/10. Plus 4 more tenths would be 12/10, which I know is 1 whole and 2/10. Plus 4 more tenths would be 1 and 6/10. Plus 4 more tenths would actually give me a new whole. I would be up to 2 wholes because that would be a total of 20 tenths. So this shows me that 4/10 times 5 is equal to 2 wholes. So again, I found 4/10 of each of those 5 wholes, and my product is 2. Remember what we said in the beginning? We thought that the product would be less than 5 since we were multiplying 5 by a factor that is less than 1 whole. We also said our product would be more than 4/10 since we are multiplying 4/10 by a factor that is greater than 1 whole. And so therefore our answer of 2 makes sense. I also want to show you another way we could think about this. So in this first number line, we thought about this as finding 4/10 of 5 wholes. We could also think about this as showing 5 groups of 4/10 or showing 4/10 5 times. And for that, I would use more of an open number line. And so I'm going to start at 0, but you could also start at 4/10 if you wanted. But now my work is going to be to show 4/10 5 times. So I'm going to make one jump of 4/10. And I know I would land at 4/10. Now I need to show 4/10 again. And I know that if I added 4 more tenths onto that, I would be at 8/10. And now I need to show 4/10 again because I have 5 groups of 4/10. So if I have 8/10 more, if I had 8/10 and now I have 4/10 more, well, I know that if I just had 2/10, if I broke that 4/10 up, I could get to one whole. And then I know I would have the other 2/10. So I know that I would land at 1 and 2/10. Now I would have 4/10 again. So I'm at 1 and 6/10. And then I know 4/10 more than that, I would be at 2 wholes. And so I can go back and just make sure I've shown 4/10 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's showing 4/10 5 times, or 5 groups of 4/10. And I see that I get the same product of 2 wholes. So either way you do that is perfectly fine, but this is how you can multiply a decimal by a whole number using a number line.